Commissioners, you've had a moment to look at the minutes, any additions, deletions, a moment of motion. All right, we have a motion and properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Moving on to announcements and deferrals, Mr. Tindall.
All right. First of all, welcome everyone. We've got a few more people filing in. I think John mentioned it out in the vestibule, but just bear with us today. We do have a new mic system. I can definitely hear a difference already. If you do come up to speak at the podium, it should automatically come on and turn red. When it is red, it's your opportunity to speak. After your 3 minutes, the mic will be cut off. We do have several items on the consent agenda today. Mr. Parker and myself will read those items into the agenda. All items in this portion of the agenda are considered routine and non-controversial by the staff of the Regional Planning Commission and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the audience, commission, or staff may request that an item be removed for separate consideration. We're going to read these in the record, and then I'll see if anyone wants to speak about any of these specific cases before we get to the rest of the agenda. Mr. Park. Daniel can turn you on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tindall. Our first case on the consent agenda is case number S90-2025. That's Vision Home Builders. The request is for preliminary plat approval of Harper Place subdivision. The property is zoned R1 single family, and the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR81-2025. The applicant is Scott Little. The development is called Black Dog Storage. The staff recommendation is for deferral. SR86-2025. Applicant is Anthony Daly. The development is called the Reserve at Lafayette. The proposed use is multifamily, zoned R4, and the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR87-2025. Applicant is Todd Morris. The development is 2265 Trenton Road, mixed-use property. The staff recommendation is for deferral. Case number SR88-2025. The applicant is Todd Morris. Development is Morris 2500 41A Bypass. The proposed use is retail. Zoning is C5. And the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR89-2025. The applicant is Chris Blackwell. The development is Blackwell Dover Road, Phase 2. Proposed use is general office and the zoning is C5. The staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Thank you.
In addition to those site plans and subdivisions, on the consent agenda, Commissioners, we also have number 7 under your agenda under City Zoning Z48-2025. The Planning Commission's recommendation is for a 1-month deferral with no public hearing conducted this month on that one. In addition, item number 13, Z54-2025, application of Nehru Real Estate LLC, recommended for a 1-month deferral. And then cases 19 and 20, the case for the variance number 9, Mark and Kimberly Wofford, as well as subdivision S89-2025, Mark and Kimberly Wofford have both been withdrawn. We offer that all up in the form of a consent agenda. If anyone from the public would like to speak on any of those cases that we just read into the consent agenda only, please let us know. Otherwise, they'll be approved with conditions in one motion. So for the consent agenda, it's the first 2 pages, that's number 1 through number 6, as well as case number 7, 13, 19, and 20. Anyone here to speak specifically on those? All right, Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Tindall. Commissioners, you've heard the consent agenda. All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? All right, consent agenda passes. All right, just to remind everybody, we're going to have public hearing on all of these zoning cases. If you want to speak in favor or against, you'll have 3 minutes, a 3-minute opportunity to speak, and then there will also be an opportunity for a rebuttal. Also, I'd like to remind everybody that this body on the zoning cases is only passing recommendations. It will go on to either the county commission or the city council. So if you're interested in a case and following it through the process, please pay attention to when it's going to be in front of those bodies. And I will turn it over to Mr. Spangler, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and present these cases for you today. First application on the agenda is Z49-2025. It's the application of Jonathan Blick. The request is to go from R2 single family residential district to R3 three family residential district. And this is for properties consisting of three separate parcels fronting on the north frontage of Hickory Grove Boulevard and the southern frontage of Elmwood Drive at the intersection of Hickory Grove Boulevard and Elmwood Drive. This remaining two parcels are located at 400 Hickory Grove Boulevard and 400 and a half Hickory Grove Boulevard. They're currently a small group of parcels bisected by Hickory Grove Boulevard and with moderate slope and trees. This is in the South Clarksville planning area. Department comments in reference to this application. The Clarksville Street Department has indicated that no traffic assessment is required as it's below the threshold. Must follow city access ordinance. Sidewalks are required, and drainage easement runs to the middle of the property, and that's for the triangular portion to the north. You'll see the remainder of the department comments that were received. This request would impact would be increased residential density. Historical estimates for lot or unit yield would be 14. Again, it's in the South Clarksville planning area, and the future land use opinion map indicates that it's suburban neighborhood. The staff's recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. These parcels are designated suburban neighborhood in the future land use opinion map, which supports limited attached housing and increased density along major transportation routes. Hickory Grove Boulevard functions as a collector street, serving as a major transportation route for the area. This request is also located within 500 feet of a designated neighborhood node, an area identified by the comprehensive plan as appropriate for increased residential density and targeted neighborhood scale commercial investment. Increased residential density through infill and redevelopment is most appropriate in areas where a well-connected street network, existing infrastructure, and convenient access to goods and services, such as the South Clarksville planning area. Below you have the two aerial photographs of the properties in question, and then you have the zoning map overview of the properties. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
All right, commissioners, any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll open this up to a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak in favor of Z49-2025?
Jonathan Blick, 1540 Sale Road. Just coming up here, request R3. Looking for a little bit more density in the area. We're just going from R2 to R3. So just a slight zoning change. And we're looking to build, actually try something new and try to build under that $200,000 price range in this area. There's some $150,000 homes on the market in that area already. And they are kind of dilapidated, but we want to match the existing. So I do have just a lot layout, and it's subject to change. There's a little bit of encroachment in two structures existing, so we're just going to have to redesign those lines as well. And this is strictly for the larger parcel, the triangle lot. We may use as a single line, or with the zoning change or the rewrite, may open the door for a cottage court in that area, because it does meet that requirement that is currently being kicked around to 14,000 square feet per. So this is what we're thinking about. But I don't know if you guys have this lot layout. I think I may have sent it to Jeffrey. I'm not sure exactly, but I'll go ahead and hand this one out.
Thank you, sir.
And just while he's handing that out, there was a little bit of an encroachment on a right side. Looks like a carport and a concrete pad, and that's 15 foot into it. So these 30-foot lots, that would kind of take up the majority of that buildable space. So, we're trying to work out something with the owner next door to that too, without, you know, jeopardizing our total yield. Um, so it may be something we may be open to selling that lot to that person rather than tearing down their structure. I mean, I'm sure it was a mistake, so we're just going to work through that, and then, like I said, there's two existing structures already, so we're trying to incorporate that as well. So, just any questions? Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of Z49 2025? Would anyone like to speak against Z49 2025? All right, seeing none, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman, based on the consistent with the overall government objectives as a part of the Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, Z49 2025 passes.
All right, Commissioners, your next application is Z50, 2025, the application of Fonda Malone. The request is to go from AG Agricultural District to R5 Residential District. It's for a parcel fronting on the east frontage of North Whitfield Road, approximately 200 feet north of the North Whitfield Road and Needmore Road roundabout. The request from the applicant stated their reason for the request is to build affordable housing. This request encompasses 1.23 plus or minus acres. It is in the same Bethlehem planning area. A traffic assessment was required due to the proximity to the Whitfield Road roundabout prior to RPC approval, and the traffic assessment has been reviewed and accepted by the Clarksville Street Department. Police department did have some comments in reference to a potential driveway location, but that was coordinated and discussed with the street department, and they have since removed that comment. You do have historical estimates for this piece of property that's requested to go to R5. The historical estimate would be 14 units. I will note that in the traffic assessment there shows a combination of the adjoining parcel to the north that's also R5, and the total number of units, if that becomes a question, is 35. Future land use designation in this area of the same Bethlehem planning area is suburban neighborhood, and the staff is recommending approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. This parcel is designated suburban neighborhood in the future land use plan, which supports limited attached housing and increased density along major transportation routes. Needmore Road functions as an arterial, and Whitfield Road functions as a collector, both as serving as major transportation routes for the area. The adopted comprehensive plan supports increased residential density in areas near schools and commercial uses, especially where supporting infrastructure such as sidewalks and pedestrian facilities are in place or will be provided as part of the development. As mentioned in our informal, this case and the next case are both side by side. This is the R5 portion that's requested to go from Ag to R5, and you have your arrow overviews there. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
All right, see no questions from commissioners. I'm going to open it up to public hearing. Would anyone like to speak in favor of Z50 2025? All right, seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against Z50 2025? All right, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion to approve. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Z50 2025 passes.
All right. We have C51 2025. It's also the application of Fonda Malone requesting to go from R2 single family district to C2 general commercial district. And this property fronts at the northeast quadrant of the North Whitfield Road and Needmore Road roundabout. The request is for a small commercial retail development. That's what's been stated by the applicant, and this request encompasses 0.29 plus or minus acres. You'll see the department comments reference to this application. As stated previous, the traffic assessment was required for this application. That was combined with Z50, the one you just heard. It does state that no access to Needmore Road or Whitfield Road per the deed restrictions, and a shared access would be required. And the traffic assessment has been reviewed and accepted by the Clarksville Street Department. There are some comments from a reference from the police department. You do have some comments from the school system in reference to congestion in the area as it relates to commercial developments. The impact of this proposed use on surrounding development is that C2 will permit mixed use, commercial, and multifamily residential. Road access, as stated previously, access is required to be combined with the adjoining parcel to gain access to the street. Historical estimates, if this were multifamily, would be 3 units. Again, it is in the St. Bethlehem planted area and the future land use designation of suburban neighborhood. The staff recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. This parcel is designated suburban neighborhood in the future land use plan, which supports neighborhood scale commercial uses near residential uses and major transportation routes. Needmore Road functions as an arterial and Whitfield Road functions as a collector, with both serving as major transportation routes for the area. This parcel is prohibited from having an access to Needmore Road per deed restriction required by the City of Clarksville in the adopted access ordinance. The adjacent parcel to the north is under the same ownership, and its concept site plan has been shown as part of the traffic assessment that identifies a shared driveway to Whitfield Road that is required per the Clarksville Street Department comments. Next 2 slides, you'll see the aerial overview of the request and then the zoning map overview of the request and the future land use map. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Was concerned about sidewalks, but they have been taken care of, right?
Yes, there was a mention of sidewalks in previous comments, but under the development of the roundabout and the infrastructure improvements at that intersection, there are multiple sidewalks and crosswalks that have been installed. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, we're going to open up public hearing on C51 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against? All right, we're going to exit public hearing, commissioners.
Motion for approval of parcel is designated suburban neighborhood and future land use plan, which supports neighborhood scale commercial uses near residential uses and major transportation route intersections.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Z51 2025 passes.
All right, commissioners, your next application is Z52 2025. It's the application of Ligon Home Builders, Gayla Stewart, and Daryl Atkins. The request is to go from agricultural district and R2 single family district to R3 3-family residential district. This property is located, it consists of 4 tracts of land located at the northern terminus of Bell Road. It's currently semi-wooded tracts with a residential home site with power line easement that runs roughly north-south across the property. The reason for this request stated by the applicant on their application is to continue the R3 single-family homes that we are building next door. Bell Road right-of-way has been purchased and Bell Road is in the process of being widened. R3 helps to keep houses between $299,000 and $330,000. The houses could be cheaper, but having to rebuild Bell Road has caused them to be in the mid 300s. Again, that's the statement for the request by the applicant. This request is in the St. Bethlehem planted area. You will see the department comments are received in reference to this application. The gas and water department has stated that a water main extension would be required. Traffic assessment has been received and accepted by the Clarksville Street Department. And then you have the school capacities there for the school system. The impact for the proposed use would be increased residential density. This property is accessed from Bell Road. Historical estimates are 73 units listed Historical estimates are 75 units. Again, this is in the same Bethlehem planning area. The future land use designation is suburban neighborhood. Staff has recommended disapproval. This request is inconsistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarkson-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The future land use opinion map designates these parcels as suburban neighborhood. Large areas of R3 moderate density residential within this designation do not fully reflect the intended development pattern for the area. You do have the two aerial photographs of the request. You have the future land use opinion map, and then a copy of the current zoning map. At the very end of that, you should have a email that was received from a member of opposition. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer the questions.
Commissioners, I'll give you a moment to look over that email. All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing on Z52 2025. Would anybody like to speak in favor?
Calvin Ligon, 951 Crab Apple Court, half owner of this property. We're just looking to do a continuation of the R3. We're already in process of developing Bell Road. I bought the right of way so we could ride the road to the full city county specs. My engineer, he's here to answer any questions you may have about engineering, but we just ask for your approval.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor of Z52 2025?
Larry Riccone, 308 South 2nd Street. Here for the applicant. You know, it's already been pointed out, but still just want to kind of harp on it. But there's an extension and there's an improvement to Bell Road. We think traffic is going to be taken care of through that. The study is a C, it's going to stay a C. You know, we also believe that we'll have some exit around and through and road. You know, I know planning is suburban neighborhood, and you know, why R3 is probably just the biggest question. The TVA easement, when you look at it, goes through. Developers are losing a lot of lots to that TVA. So the R3 is not going to be triplexes. It's going to be just smaller lots. Increase the density, we know, but we think we're offsetting the land we're losing because of the TVA easement. And still thinks it will be, we believe it to be in the nature and character of the surrounding areas, especially since there is R3 there. Again, we know it's just a big ask, but we do believe it would be appropriate in this case. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor?
Hello, body. Ricky Rita, 1820 Memorial Circle. Our city's moving. Everything's changing. We've done a suburban plan. It's been recognized for a few years, but we know inflation's going up. Things are getting expensive. Things are changing. So we did our due diligence. We met with Tyndall in a meeting, and we actually wanted R5. So we spoke of R5 there. It was brought to my attention that we're a little bit off the road, so it wouldn't be approvable, but they would support a R5 if we was touching Meadmore Road. So if we did have the farm that's touching Meadmore Road that touches this farm, does that at that time at R5 that would put R3 behind it? It's just a question I run there in the suburban growth. I asked about the R2A, that it's best on Meadmore Road, R2A, 40-foot lot, because it's a suburban growth. I own property on 2 acres on Madison Street. I don't think it's an R2A product. I don't think we need R2A on Madison Street. I'm not bringing it forward. And I think somewhere we got to look that we're going to have to get our lots a little bit smaller to today's world. Things are expensive, and we got to bring a little bit of the cost down. Developing 130 lots compared to 160 lots, that's a big difference. The regional had a study for Montgomery County, and we all went and listened to it at the Wilma Rudolph Pavilion. We had state representatives there, we had commissioners there, we had all full bodies there. Everyone's acknowledging we need 5,800 doors a year till 2040. If we don't put our foot forward and we put a little bit of tight zoning in some of these areas, I don't know where we're going to find those doors. We're not putting enough apartments in to do it, so we're asking you today for this R3 zoning. We're willing to put a turning lane in Nemo Road. We're willing to put a park in for these two developments. I've already got R3s. I don't know if everyone knows, we already got R3 there. We've got 58 lots as development. I'm rebuilding Bell Road as we speak. So we're going to completely put Bell Road in. We're approved. We just got to come. We got the roads built, got the infrastructure in. We're there. So hopefully we get our final in the next 2 months. If not, it'll be the beginning of spring. But we have R3 touching, and I always thought once the R3 touched, that we kind of go with that plan. That's all I got. Any questions?
Any questions, Commissioner? Thank you, sir. All right. Would anyone like to speak against Z52 2025? All right. Seeing no one, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Black hat guy here, I know we approved that with the commission. When we approved or disapproved this last time with R3 that touches what's going on now anyway. I just don't, I think I'm going to have to make a motion for the request being inconsistent with the disapproval for the request being inconsistent with overall goals and objectives of adopting Clarkson Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
All right. We have a motion for disapproval. I'm not here in a second. All right. Motion fails. Commissioners, any discussion? Different motion?
I guess I do have a question. Can you tell me the difference between an R2 so that we can get a perspective on how many more units and an R3, please? That'll help us. Because it's already an R2, correct?
I have a note that was here that had that. Overall, so R3 allows for single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, depending on the size of the lots. They can get down to, and I try not to memorize these totals, so the lot size for R2A is about 25% larger than an R3 single family lot. The overall density in R3, if it's a single family, duplex, or triplex, is roughly the same. There's some minute differences between there, but if you mix them, those are pretty much a wash in R3, but it does become 25% denser in most cases to go to R2A. Presently at R2, you can cluster that development, which then allows you to put open space in areas such as the TVA easement. So R2 can get more dense. Not overall, you're limited by the units, but you can make wiser use of the land. So there's 3 different levels of density there that can factor in. In short, suburban neighborhood designation is primarily R1, R2, and then some areas R2A. R3 in smaller instances along major transportation routes, and I think that's what Mr. Rita was trying to allude to, that higher densities are more appropriate along the major route, not as far removed back. So if you want actual hard numbers, your best option would be deferred, and I can give you those exact totals instead of rambling like I did, if that's important to you. And I can do all those calculations and further break it down on the chart. But overall, that's really the gauge and difference between those classifications.
And then we did say an easement. The TVA is going to do an easement, correct, on that piece of property?
There's already an easement in place.
Easement in place. So how much of land will be lost, and what will be the calculation of units on site? Because I see here it's saying 73. Did I read that correctly? For 75 units?
Our estimate is 73, their estimate is 75.
Okay. And that's with the easement. And that's with
the easement.
Okay.
I have some information to show that.
Okay. And you did mention a cluster at the current at A2. So if they did a cluster at an A2, what would that look like?
That would be you can only cluster in R2 and above that.
Right.
So you can't do that in R2A. R2A and R3 are meant to be more of an infill zone. So they're more dense and they're meant to be used in smaller, more compact areas, such as the zoning case that you had earlier today, where you were really confined to that small area of Hickory Grove Boulevard. That's what the intent of those zones are for.
So would they get approximately the same amount if you kept it at R2?
No, you'll get more in R3. And then R2 and R3, depending on how much area they dedicate to open space, there's some similarities, but it all comes down to the individual lay of the land.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
On the map, is there an R3 right next to the property that they're trying to get?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quickly, Mr. Lincoln, how many months have you been working on this project approximately?
Hold on, we're gonna get him up to the mic and everything. If you want to,
That's okay. That's okay. I know approximately. Since the first motion failed, I'm going to make the motion, but I'm going to hold Mr. Reader to make sure that if this motion passes, that area is a beautiful place. I move for approval on KC 5325.
Z52-2025.
Yes,
I'm sorry if I'm on the right motion.
That's right. I just want to make sure it's
Yes.
straight for everybody at home and all that.
Yes, Z53. Move for approval. Z53
No, sir.
2022. I get it right.
Yep.
Thank you. Move for approval of Z52 2025.
All right. So we have a motion for approval for Z52 2025 and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Z52 2025 passes.
All right, Commissioners, you have Z53 2025. It's the application of Tommy and Reese Byard. The agent is Larry Riccone. Acreage to be rezoned is 10.77 plus or minus acres. Requested to go from R1 single family residential district to R6 single family residential district. This is located at the address of 1911 Old Russell Pike. It's currently a long, narrow track with a single family home on site and a pond at the rear of the property near the railroad track. There is some previous zoning history in reference to this. There was no reason given for the request, but just for the record, I will state that R6 is a single family residential zoning classification. Department comments. One for the street department stated it was below the threshold for a traffic assessment. Sidewalks will be required and they must meet the access ordinance. Then you see the school system capacity is referenced. That's the final or the department comment. The impact of the proposed use would be increased single family residential density. It is accessible from Old Russell Pike, and then there is a stub road that's in the back of the subdivision. Historical estimates overall would be 100 units, but I will state that the back half of the portion, the back third of the portion, does have that pond and low spot in it. It is in the same Bethlehem planning area. Future land use map indicates this is a suburban neighborhood. Staff has recommended disapproval. This request is inconsistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarkson-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The future land use opinion map designates these parcels as suburban neighborhood. The R6 single-family residential district is a high-density detached single-family residential district and does not align with the suburban neighborhood designation as proposed in this application. A lower density single-family residential zoning district will be more appropriate to provide a compatible transition between the existing residential developments and surrounding zoning districts. You do have aerial overview of the two aerial overviews of the request. And then you have the future land use opinion map and the zoning map. And then you do have an email comment with some photographs and items that are located there. As I stated in the informal meeting with the Planning Commission, the applicant agent has requested stated they plan to request a deferral, and I will state that the Planning Commission staff is agreeable to that deferral. To answer any questions, I would be more than happy to at this time.
All right, commissioners, have you look over that email? We're going to open it up for public hearing, yes, sir.
Yes, and we will conduct another public hearing at the next meeting. And if that's important, just answer questions while people are reading. This information we have shared with the street department. They're going to do some additional study and look into this as well. So I think that would be beneficial to all parties involved to look into these items a little more.
All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing on C53 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Lakewood County 308 South 2nd Street. This meeting was really large on the time with these two. But once we saw the public comments, the developer takes us very serious. We want to move seriously. We think it would be certainly inappropriate to move forward in light of this information. We've already engaged our engineer. We're going to do stuff. We're going to restudy this, especially addressing issues and concerns. I'm not going to speak to the merits because I can't at this point until we can figure out what's going on. We think a deferment would be the appropriate action. Give everyone a chance to see what's going on, what would be the appropriate use for this land. We're asking to grant us a deferment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll keep going with the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Would anyone like to speak against Z53 2025?
I'm Steve Austin, 274 Cheshire Road. We think this proposal presents a serious concern related to flooding and drainage, traffic safety, infrastructure capacity, and neighborhood capability and character. Increase in residential density will significantly increase the permanent surface area while reducing green space. Surrounding properties already experience drainage problems, flooding, and standing water. Flooding has been severe enough in the past to require a Washington Pike to be closed for multiple days. The current stormwater and road utility infrastructure is not adequate to support higher density development without major improvements. Traffic is another major concern. Rezoning will substantially increase traffic on the Western Pike, as well as Double Arcade Road and Cave Road, which are extreme under current conditions. These roads are not designed to safely handle increased traffic volumes, raise legitimate safety concerns for residents, pedestrians, and school traffic. The proposed development also requires two access points, which are likely to route traffic through surrounding residential neighborhoods. This would introduce cut-through traffic, reduce safety, and disrupt the quiet, low-density character of the area. The surrounding neighborhood is clearly established as low-density single-family residential. Rezoning the R6 with smaller lots and higher population is inconsistent with that character. It will reduce privacy, increase noise and light pollution, and alter the appeal of the neighborhood. This is not a case of responsible orderly growth. It's a request that benefits one property while shifting the costs and consequences onto the surrounding neighborhood. Residents rely on the existing R1 zoning when purchasing their homes and that relies deserve respect. Also, they're pretty much in the blinds because we had not seen a full plan for this property. So, for safety, stability, and character of this existing neighborhood, I respectfully ask the commission to deny the rezoning of 1911 on Russell Pike from R1 to R6. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak against C-53 2025? Come on up, sir. Give us your name and address once you get up there.
Glenmore Jr., 290 Cheshire Road. There's already flooding concerns with this property. There's a pond at the back, and there's a swamp surrounding the pond. Heavy rains, it floods onto the street. The city department has had to put signs up, can't go across there. The majority of the property sits quite a bit higher than Cheshire Road. So, which direction the water can go? Cheshire Road. Property values. The subdivision has been established since the 80s. All the houses are facing that property on Cheshire Road, 12, 15 properties. Property values, who knows how far they'll go. If you will be able to sell your house. 100 units, that's 200 cars coming out 50 feet from the intersection of Russell Pike and Marquette Road, which is already a high accident area. I've witnessed it in my backyard, a couple of wrecks in the last 5 years. So you got flooding, safety, property values. Thank you.
Turn on my mic. Thank you, sir. All right. Would anyone else like to speak? Yep. Come on up, sir.
Jerry Police, 1906 on Roosevelt Pike. I've been living there 52 years. These are our neighbors across the road. Back in them, it was just farmland, a few houses. Now there's 1,000 houses across the road there in subdivisions. You come off of Dunbar Cave Road, there's a dip right there. The cars come down through there 60 miles an hour, passing each other. You can't even hardly go to the mailbox. This happens between 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock to 12 all night long. Back last year, right across this man's property, our hunter lives there. He had water in his front doorstep. Water, the street department, they already said this, but I'm going to tell you where you can hear it. Street department had to come out there for a week and put up signs. Traffic had to go. All the new houses y'all let be built on Russellville Pike down by the end down there where the gravel it is. Had a detour. Traffic's backed up everywhere. If you let any more houses come in there and that dip in there, you're going to take your grass covered up with asphalt, concrete, houses. I don't know how many houses he's going to put in there. And there's a dip and there's a pond back there. And last 20 years we come down here and talk the same thing. And it should be a sanctuary back there for there's ducks, birds, wildlife. It's not a place to build condos or apartments or anything like that. It's too low, like this gentleman said. You can't come in there and raise all that up.
Mr. Riccone, would you like to rebut, or you save it for next month? Or okay. All right, we're going to close public hearing now, commissioners. All right, we have a motion for a 30-day deferral and a properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Z53 2025 has been deferred. Yes, sir. Just so everybody knows and they're aware, Z53 2025 will be back on the agenda next month. Letters will go out again to notify you as well.
All right, commissioners, your next application is Z55. You'll have to go past Z54 because that was deferred. It's the application of QP4, request to go from R5 residential district to R2A single family residential district. This encompasses 12.96 plus or minus acres. It's at the western terminus of Corey Overlook Way. And the proposal, the reason for this request stated by the applicant is to propose a single family development. This is in the St. Bethlehem planted area. You'll see the department comments. The street department said it's below the threshold for a traffic assessment due to an apparent downzoning. Sidewalks would be required, and you do have at the end there the school system capacity comments. The impact would be a decrease in residential density and then single family attached dwellings. Historical estimates for this zoning case would be 58 units. Again, it's in the St. Bethlehem planted area with the future land use designation of suburban neighborhood. The staff is recommending approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed R2A single-family residential zoning aligns with the suburban neighborhood designation identified for this area on the adopted future land use opinion map. The requested R2A single-family residential zoning represents a downzoning from the existing R5 residential district and will require submission and approval of updated development plan to the Regional Planning Commission. And just, we did take a few calls in reference to this, and one of the main questions was what R5 is. That is the attached townhome zoning classification, and they're proposing to go to R2A single-family residential detached housing. Then you do have your typical aerial overviews and your land use opinion map and your zoning map. If you have any questions, I'd be more happy to try to answer them for you.
Seeing no questions from commissioners, I'm going to open up public hearing on Z55 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no, would anyone like to speak against? We will exit public hearing, commissioners.
Motion to approve requested R2A single family residential zoning represents a downzoning from the existing R5 residential district and requires submission of updated development plan through Regional Planning Commission.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, Z55 2025 passes.
Thank you all. All right, Z56 2025 is the application of Crest Properties request to go from R1 single family district to R2A single family district, and this is for at 12 Concord Drive. It's the rear lawn of an existing residential lot. This property will likely look familiar to you as the area south of it was part of a larger request to go to R2A that was recommended for approval and approved at City Council most recently. The reason for this request, stated by the applicant, is to add one lot to the proposed Concord Ridge subdivision. The street department indicated it's below the threshold for a traffic assessment. Sidewalks would be required. In the final comment, you do see there is school system capacities. The impact would be increased residential density by that one lot. It is in the Lafayette Peters Mill Road planted area with the future land use opinion map designation of suburban neighborhood. Staff has recommended approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed R2A single-family residential zoning aligns with the suburban neighborhood designation identified for this area on the future land use opinion map. This request would allow for one additional lot within the adjoining subdivision development plan. Then you have your typical maps, the aerial overviews, the land use opinion map, and the zoning map. We did receive some calls in reference to this case, but once explained, no one expressed any opposition for the record at that time. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
I see no questions from commissioners. I'm going to open up public hearing on C-56 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Houston Smith, 2971 International Boulevard. Yeah, this is just one more lot we're trying to get into the Concord Ridge subdivision. The rezone that was referenced earlier was from a commercial zone down to R2A, so we're just trying to match this additional piece of property with that, just to kind of square up the subdivision. I know the sign is on Concord Drive, but I just want to enforce we are not rezoning on Concord Drive. The piece of property being rezoned will only be accessed by the new road that we are having to build. So we're not knocking the house down. We're not trying to rezone any of that. It's just in the back in that area that we're building the subdivision. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you, sir. All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor of Z-56 2025? Would anyone like to speak against Z-56 2025? We're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Move for approval based on consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the document. Partial Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Z-56 2025 passes.
All right, commissioners. Your next up. 57 2025, the application of CGH Properties request to go from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District located at 1182 Rossview Road. The reason for the request is to build a triplex. That's the statement from the applicant. This total request is just over half an acre at 0.55 plus or minus acre. This is in the same Bethlehem planning area. In reference to this application, the department comments, street department indicated it's below the threshold for a traffic assessment. Access would be determined by the adopted ordinance, which is one drive onto Dunbar Cave, and that would be the new extension of Dunbar Cave Road. And then you have the school capacities there at the bottom of the department comments. The impact of this proposed use would be increased residential density. The applicant's estimate is 3 units as a triplex, and our historical estimates indicates 3 units as well. As stated previously, it is in the same Bethlehem planted area and the future land use designation of neighborhood commercial. Staff has recommended approval of this request. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The parcel is designated neighborhood commercial in the adopted land use opinion map. This designation is intended to serve surrounding residents by providing small-scale, neighborhood-oriented goods and services. In addition, this designation supports moderate to higher density residential development, which can enhance the mix of uses and reinforce the overall function of the area. The adopted comprehensive plan supports increased residential density in areas near schools and commercial uses, especially where supporting infrastructure such as sidewalks and pedestrian facilities are in place or will be provided as part of the development. You have the 2 aerial overviews on your maps, the land use opinion map, and the zoning map. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to open up public hearing on C-57 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Houston Smith, 2971 International Boulevard. We've owned this property a couple years now, waiting on the Dunbar Cave Road alignment to be finished. It's done now, good looking road, lots of nice sidewalks. Just looking to build some residences. We've got really good access to the school, a lot of new commercial being built up and down the road right toward exit 8.
feel like it's a really good spot for this, and we ask for your support.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of C57 2025? Would anyone like to speak against C57 2025? Come on up.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Sorry, my
Just
opinions. I've been at
name
work
and
today.
address, and then you can tell us what you're thinking.
Chris Wynn. Address. I'm 1190. I'm right behind it. Like I touch it. Like I
Okay.
said, I've had that property for 15 years. It's a nice little neighborhood. Road come through. I get that. I talked to the city about they took some of my property, and it's like you can't even. If I was to have a house fire or something, I couldn't rebuild there because it's too small. But yet they let people put triplexes on these small areas, and it's like when you start sticking them everywhere, it's going to start bringing down homeowners' values and stuff. Like I get people have apartments, but can't you just keep them all together and not spread one here, one there? And no one wants to be living next to apartment buildings. And it's just like in that road right there, it's hard to get out of that road as it is. And you're going to put a triplex there and have 6 cars trying to get out during school zone. It's crazy right there. And it's like I don't understand. Why would anybody do that? Like, why can't you just put them together somewhere instead of just randomly sticking them one here and one there? Because I don't see how they can even foot that many apartments on that little bitty half acre and still have room to be off, so many feet off the property line. As a residential home, we have to be so many feet off of each side, but they don't, and that just don't seem fair. And I just don't want to live next to an apartment building. I just don't want to deal with it. Like I said, hope that helps. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Would anyone else like to speak against C57 2025? Seeing no one, would you like to rebut? No rebuttal. All right, we're going to exit public hearing, commissioners.
Motion for approval. Question consistent with overall goals and objectives of adopting Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, we have a motion and a properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Opposed. Motion passes. C57 2025.
No, Mr. Patterson is left for the record.
And I would like to note that Mr. Commissioner Patterson is left for the record.
So we still have, I don't know if we do need 3 votes for him to.
All right, C57 2025 passes. Moving on.
All right, commissioners and members of the public, we are now moving to the county zoning portion of the agenda. So, commissioners, if you'll please go to your tablet and go to the county zoning staff report. First case is CZ 22-2025. Is the application of John and Diane Daigle. The request is to go from AG Agricultural District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It's for a property consisting of 2 tracts of land split by Lywood Road, bound to the north by Dover Road and south by Woodlawn Road. The reason for this request, stated by the applicant, is to construct a parking lot. The total acreage of this request is 3.99 plus or minus acres. I will state for the record that acreage, there is a portion of Mr. and Mrs. Daigle's property that's already zoned C5, and when we did the historical, tried to pinpoint those zoning boundaries, they were based with the highway before the widening project, and so in order to clear up the legal description, he has included portions of this property in this description that are already zoned C5. So hope that makes sense to you. Um, this is in the Woodlawn, Dotsonville planning area. The County Highway Department requested a traffic assessment for the Woodlawn Road and Lywood Road intersection. No access is permitted to Dover Road, and the traffic assessment was reviewed by the Montgomery County Highway Department. You do have the school system capacities there. This is a commercial request and doesn't afford residential development. It is served by Woodlawn Utility District for water. It would be served by Septic for sewer purposes. Again, it's in the Woodlawn Dottsville planning area. The future land use opinion map indicates the property should be neighborhood commercial. Staff recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District is a logical extension of the established C5 district at the intersection of US Highway 79, which is State Route 76, also known as Dover Road, and State Route 233, Live Road. You do have your aerial overviews of the request, the future land use opinion map, and the zoning map. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
All right, we're going to open up public hearing on CZ 22, 2025. Anyone like to speak in favor? Would anyone like to speak against? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
I'm Perry Robertson. I live 2920 Woodlawn Road, right across from this property. And I've lived there since 1959. And I built a house back there on the farm. And this property down there, right around the area where I'm at, I've seen property down there that wouldn't perk. A few years later, it did perk. They got commercial trailers parked in on the other side of the road. And also this property we're talking about right here, if you look down on the very western end of it, they put a fence and electricity up there, and it's still agriculture. So when they put the fence and electricity down there, I went to Buildings and Codes, and they told me there's no park. 2 food trucks is all they can park on that property, agriculture. So when they got the fence in and everything done, the food truck company brought the trucks down there. They back trucks down Livewood Road, which is a dead end. Down in, you come in, you couldn't get in your driveway because the tractor trailer would be unloading food there because they cook food in there. They loaded the trucks in there. They went to Fort Campbell, I guess, out there the food trucks did. But they unloaded the food, garbage trucks, went back in my driveway and turned around because they said they couldn't pull in there and empty their trash, their garbage dumpsters. So then get back to this 3 point, they wanted rezone to C5, and you pay anything on C5. And I worked for the volunteer farm department down there for 37 years in Woodlawn, and I've seen several wrecks right there at that intersection of Livewood and Woodlawn Road. And I can just see, and I know he's got some people that drive tractor trailers, and they want to park, I'm sure, tractor trailers and any other thing that they put in there. And it was, and I don't think it's suitable for a parking lot. But if it's rezoned C5, my understanding, they can do pretty much anything with the C5. But where they got the driveway going in, where they cleared all of the pine trees that was there down, and I can't see that it's to me it's going to be a traffic hazard. People turning in their parking lot in there where that is at, and I think it should be turned down as a C5. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak against CZ 22, 2025? Yeah, I can do that. Would anyone, all right, seeing no one else that wants to speak against, would anyone like to rebut? Come on up, sir.
My name is John Daigle. I bought that property when the 4 lane came through on just south of Fort Campbell, and it was agriculture. They told us that it was going to be zoned commercial, but it never happened. I own the property of JD's Woodlawn Market, which is uh, on the other side of Lockwood Road. It's C5. What I'm requesting is an extension to the C5 that I already have. so I can park my son's tractor trailers on that property. In reference to the food trucks, they have not been in business for over a year, almost a year and a half. I requested them to move their equipment off of it, and to this date, they have not responded. So I don't know what to do for them. I want to park tractor trailers and vehicles because it is so necessary for the Montgomery County because there is no place to park tractor trailers anywhere. So I humbly request that you support me on this. Uh, all I'm asking is an extension to my C5 already. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to close out public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion to approve. The proposed C5 highway and arterial commercial district is a logical extension of the established C5 district at that intersection.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, Z22-2025 passes.
Commissioners, as it relates to zoning, we have light at the end of the tunnel. You have one final county zoning case. It is C224-2025. It is the application of Brian Cogdill. The request is to go from C2 General Commercial District to AG Agricultural District at 3250 Shiloh Canyon Road. The reason for this request, Mr. Cogdill came in our office and explained he wanted to build a single family home. That's the point in time we found out the property was zoned commercial. So he has requested to take that back to an agricultural district to afford the opportunity to build a home. There were no department comments of any concern received in reference to this application. The impact would be the removal of the commercial use potential and reestablish the agricultural zoning. It is served by water by the Cunningham Utility District, has road access to both Shiloh Canyon Road and Harris Circle. Our estimates would indicate two lots if it were divided. There is a pond on site at Will State, though, that may make that more difficult. But the applicant's estimate is one home. It is in the Cumberland South planted area, future land use designation of rural reserve. The staff has recommended approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarkson Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan, and the request for agricultural zoning aligns with the rural reserve future land use designation and affords the opportunity for the applicant to build the single family home. You do have your aerial photographs in the land use opinion map and the zoning map. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Seeing no questions, we'll open up the public hearing on CZ24-2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against? We'll close public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion for approval of down zoning reliance on rural reserve future land use designation affords the opportunity for that to build a single family home as requested.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, CZ24-2025 passes.
All right, Mr. Chairman and Commission, almost done here. If you will open up your other business portion on your tablets. The first item up is the monthly profit and loss statement through November. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, ask for your support.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, profit and loss statement is approved.
Next, we do have a first here. This is a request by an applicant for the extension of a PUD. This was the one known as the Killebrew, then later Marcelina Plant Unit Development out on Rossview Road. It's been 3 years since it received final approval from the county. Our county resolution states that anything that was approved as a PUD, if they have not started construction, at a point within 3 years, they should come back and give an update, and the planning commission may extend that a year at a time as they see fit. So we do have a letter in your packet from Mr. Jimmy Bagwell, and he is here to ask for this and answer any questions. This does not require a public hearing, but Mr. Moore does need, or sorry, Mr. Bagwell does need to make a statement on this.
Come on up, sir.
Hey, Jimmy Bagwell, 2386 Rushfield Road. As Jeff said, 2022 is when we received approval of the PUD. In that time since then, we've spent about 2 years working through a TIF district and then also master planning. We're currently planning to begin dirt work and potential buildings in spring of 26. So we're asking for a one year extension of that PUD plan. If you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
This will require a motion, commissioners.
Motion for 1 year extension.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the extension of the Killebrew PUD passes.
All right, the last item up today is a renaming of a road. We don't handle this too often, and this is a pretty major section. We've actually had a zoning case on that new section of Dunbar Cave Road today. The main thoroughfare of Dunbar Cave, as it meets Rossview, as it's currently being open, will continue to be, or will be, Dunbar Cave Road. The portion that was formerly Dunbar Cave Road on the east side there, with about a dozen homes on it, has been cul-de-sac and no longer continues out to Rossview Road. So, working with the street department, we need to rename that portion of the road. And on your tablets, you'll see a map. The green road is the new alignment, and then the blue road there with all the stars and the house numbers. We will need to rename that section of road, and then we will handle outreach with the homeowners, letting them know, and work with 911 and the street department to get that updated. We did a little research of what we could name this road out there. We tried to look for historical reasoning, family names, events that happened in the area. We've given you a selection of names up there. There were some names we couldn't use already because they've already been used in other parts of town, such as Dunbar Road or Cave Road. We have vetted several names for you, and we just need you to choose a name and then what we call a suffix. The suffix is a court, road, lane, way, those types of names. So the names suggested to you today on your tablet are Frank Myers. He was a longtime principal at Rossview High School, the first principal of Rossview High School, retired in 2016. Bosley, that was a family name from the area and also sold some land to the Rossview High School complex. Cavern, as a play on the Dunbar Cave Road. Cavern would be okay. Cavern Side is one word. Brown Bat, one of the bats that's from the Dunbar Cave area. And these have all been vetted. They're not duplicates or sound-alikes for any other names in our town. Commissioners, you can debate this. This does not require a public hearing, but you will have to make a motion for one of these road name combinations.
All right, Commissioners, what are we thinking? All right, we have a motion for Cavern Court. All right, we have a motion and a properly made second on Cavern Court. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, it is now Cavern Court.
All right, we'll work on getting that word out. Thank you for everyone who stuck around today. We obviously have a little bit of work to do on the microphones. It does sound a lot clearer and a lot of feedback, but I think the voice is a lot clearer than previous microphones.
Is it clear out there?
No. Huh, okay.
It's a lot of echo.
We've been taking a lot of notes today, so.
All right.
When no one was in the room when we were testing, it sounded great, but when we had a room full, it seemed to pick up on feedback a lot. Yeah, it could be cell phones. We'll have to work with IT on that.
All right, final final item on the agenda, public comment period. Does anybody want to address the commission? Seeing no one, I will entertain a motion. All right, we have a motion for dismissal. All those in favor? All right, Merry Christmas, everyone. See you in the new year.
We tested it, and no one was out here. It's great.